The Myrtle Beach mayoral debate tonight at times was quite sizzling. The mayor often came across as defensive and confrontational and angry. Mark McBride, a former mayor, also came across as somewhat angry, very confrontational, but he did make his points. After we polled the audience, it was a packed house. We polled the audience. It appears Mark McBride did win the night tonight. We'll let you decide that for yourself. We play the full unedited version of tonight's events here.
Again, everybody, we would ask you to go ahead and start moving to your seats. We're getting ready to start in just a second or two. All right, everybody, let me reintroduce you to Bob Juback from WBTW, formerly with them, and he's going to be your host for tonight.
Thank you, Randall. Got 5 mayoral candidates running for mayor of the city of Myrtle Beach. Closest to me is Ms. Eva Perez-Rigney. She's an educator, also an entrepreneur here in the area. Daniel Allman on the far side is an active member of the South Carolina State Guard, so we appreciate your service. Next to Daniel, we have the incumbent mayor, Brenda Bethune, going for her 3rd term. Business person, she's also the first female mayor in Myrtle Beach history. She was first elected in 2017. Among her endorsements for another term is Henry McMaster, the governor of South Carolina. Next to Mayor Bethune is Mark Kruea. He served 26 years as the Myrtle Beach Public Information Officer. He's has endorsements from the Sun News, also from Susan Grissom-Beans, a former council member, and former council member Wayne Gray, who's in attendance. And Mark McBride, to Mr. Kruea's left, served 2 terms as mayor. He is a former city council member as well, and amazingly, married 38 years, so fantastic. We're going to go with the first, Mr. Kruea is going to go first with the answers, and it's going to go right, and Mr. McBride then will have the last response here in the first one. And here goes the first question to Mark Kruea. In recent years, crime has become one of the most important issues to city residents. As mayor, what would you do in both the long and short term to reduce the growing crime rate and increase the level of safety throughout the city?
Thank you, Bob. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thanks to the 2 neighborhood associations that have put this event on as well. Glad you're here. Some of you, I'm sure, voted today. We're talking about Myrtle Beach's reputation, and I think our reputation is at stake if we don't get a handle on some of the issues that face the city right now. We're 50 police officers short. We've had 3 significant shootings on Ocean Boulevard or in the Market Common area this year, and the city's response to those has compounded the problems rather than making them better, unfortunately. Greensboro's number of murders is higher than Myrtle Beach's number of murders annually, but we're Myrtle Beach. People know about us from New York to Georgia to Ohio. We're their second home. They love us dearly, and again, our reputation is at stake if we don't get a handle on things. So, Ocean Boulevard does not need to be a police state, but we do need to enforce the rules that are there, enforce the laws that are there. We need to make it a family-friendly environment. At one point, until about 2015, both the Chamber and the city funded events and activities downtown, and that stopped. The pendulum needs to swing back the other way so that we really do have a family-friendly place for people to come visit. But we also need those police officers downtown. 50 police officers short. They've been in the budget for 5 years. We need to change the way we're recruiting. I think there may be a management issue as well along with that. So there are other things that we need to do fill those vacancies
Right.
and get people back on board.
Thank you, Mr. Kruea. Ms. Bethune.
Thank you, Bob. Before I begin, I also want to thank all of the candidates for City Council who were up here. It's not easy to be up here, and it's not easy to run. So let's thank them for what they did and for the folks they have to do this. Folks, I'm not here to tell you that everything is perfect in the city of Myrtle Beach. It isn't. We have a lot of work left to do. But I am going to tell you that we've made a lot of very, very good progress. Things are not as bad as what people want you to think. Do we have work to do on Ocean Boulevard? We absolutely do. And that has to be a multifaceted approach to changing Ocean Boulevard. It has to be lighting. It has to be more police. It has to be the aesthetics. And we have to get the businesses, many of whom are here tonight that we've been meeting with, we have to get businesses who care about taking care of their properties. That's hard to do when you have a few that do the right things, but then you have many others who don't care. So we have to get people to care about their businesses. But our crime is down, our violent crime is down nearly 50% because of the investments that we have made. Millions and millions of dollars of investments in technology, in cameras, in bullet detection devices, in our real-time crime unit. Those are real numbers. And the reason you're told that those aren't real numbers is because of the way the FBI handles the stats for crime.
Thank you, Ms. Bethune.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Allman.
All right,
Same question.
I'm going to be that guy that gets you to say the question again so I can refocus. But I'm listening.
Well, I can handle that for you. In recent years, crime has become one of the most important issues to city residents. As mayor, what will you do in both the long and short term to reduce the growing crime rate and increase the level of safety throughout the city?
All right, so real quick, I'm going to just give you a quick background. I've worked for 3 security companies in this area, private. I've been trained by SLED. I'm also an active duty member of the South Carolina State Guard and have a background in security, enough so much so that we could provide an overwhelming response to this crime issue. And, you know, we can darken the skies, but then you start to ask yourself, at what level do we provide security so that people are able to enjoy themselves? So I'm going to read this little statement. The first level of public safety is community participation. We need eyes on the ground, your eyes. If you see something, say something. We're not just reactive, we're ready. My administration will deploy real-time reporting tools, neighborhood liaisons, and direct response protocols. Safety starts with trust, and trust starts with viability. So with that said, with the crime issues that people have reported, and from what I see, boots on ground, me personally, boots on ground, all around Myrtle Beach every single day. I think that the police have been doing a good job, and if there are concerns, the community needs to call the right people and tell them what their concerns are. If you've been a victim of crime, if you have been a direct witness to crime, that's one thing. If you read about crime, that's another thing. The community is the ones with the experience.
Thank you, Mr. Allman.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Reagan.
Thank you all for being here, and I'm hoping that you have an open mind when you came and not already have, considered your candidate. I hope that that is not the case, because I really want to win this. I'm sorry. Okay, the question, it's already assumed that the public thinks we have a safety problem. And for the mayor to say that that is not true, one or the other is right or wrong, right? I mean, that's what it is. So, to me, safety is non-negotiable. We got to do something about it. We got to do all kinds of different ways to attack the problem. And one of the things that I thought of, and Ms. Bethune says, we already have technology. Yes, that's right, we do. However, They're all outdated. All outdated. Technology today, it goes so fast in advancement, all these new things that it can do. That's not what our camera system today is. And they're so expensive. So we need to reinvest in brand new technologies that can assist our law enforcement before crime happens. And that is, that is very possible.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. Ms. Bethune, she took aim at you. What do you say to what she said?
I am not at all saying that our city is completely safe. No city has zero crime. What I'm saying is we can do a much better job, and we will. Under my administration, if I'm elected again, we will continue to invest the needed dollars into public safety. It's our #1 priority, it's my #1 priority, and it's all of yours. It's what I've heard these past few months going door to door. We have to address it, but we have to do it collectively, collaboratively, and as a community with the businesses, with the city, and with our residents.
Thank you, Ms. Bethune. Mr. McBride, your turn.
Thank y'all for being here tonight. I thank the two associations, but more important, I thank each and every one of you for taking the time out tonight. You didn't have to be there. Obviously, you're here because there's a concern. In 2015, I said to take money from the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce out of the TDF fund to fund public safety, and I was beat. 2017, when the mayor and I ran against each other 8 years ago, I said take the money from the Myrtle Beach Area Chamber of Commerce. They're advertising the TDF for public safety. I was beat. In 20, I ran for the State House. I said I'll go to Columbia and I'll change the law to allow the money to be spent for public safety. I was beat. In 22, I said I'll run for Congress. Maybe the congressman can get something done. And I was beat. So I'm back on the 25th. And I'm glad to see you saw 9 people sitting up here earlier saying it's public safety. It's been public safety. And the reason why I get beat is because the Myrtle Beach Chamber of Commerce does not want, of their $40 million they got this year for advertising, they don't want any of that to be changed for public safety. You go to Columbia, you change the legislation, and you can fund police officers. Money's one issue. The second one is management. The police chief has to go. And the third thing is the policies. The policies don't work. During the shooting with the AR that came down here, the fancy license plate readers worked. They found the bad guys, but the policy said...
Time's running out.
Thank you.
Second question, and we'll start with Ms. Bethune on this one. As mayor, how will you balance future housing and commercial development with the need to increase critical and infrastructure and to maintain often neglected existing infrastructures?
Well, we actually, even the previous council before me, before 8 years ago, did an incredible job of investing in infrastructure. In the last 8 years, we have continued our investment in infrastructure, and we have to. A lot of the infrastructure in this city was back from when before the city was even incorporated. That's how old it was. But if we are going to attract the right developers to come here and create jobs for people, not just hospitality jobs, we have to create jobs that attract younger people that want to come here and build their families here. We have to create jobs and create housing for young professionals, for doctors, so our hospitals can do recruiting. All that has to be done with the proper investments. Part of the investments that the city has been making. Part of our downtown revitalization master plan encompasses all of this. It's not just about what's good for downtown. It's about what is good for our entire city. And your quality of life, we want that to be better, but that takes money, it takes investments, and we're going to continue those investments in the right things.
Thank you, Ms. Bethune. Mr. Allman.
Let me read this statement. In Myrtle Beach, housing isn't just a crisis, it's a distortion. Tourism drives profit, but locals get priced out. My administration will deploy a 3-tier housing doctrine. We'll cap short-term rentals in residential zones, fast-track zoning for workforce housing, and activate city-owned land for modular builds. We'll protect renters, enforce developer accountability, and make sure Myrtle Beach works for people who live here, not just for the ones who visit. Done.
Thank you, Mr. Allman. Ms. Wrigley.
Oh, God, I lost my train. That's funny. Reset. Okay.
All right, the clock is ticking.
It's always been funny, though. Okay, so infrastructure. So I'm really baffled why, in all the years, it's always like public safety, infrastructure, and then the leadership, from the top mayor down to all the council members, they tell you they listen to their constituent. Listen, how come we still have this problem? And then what happened to the priority? What happened to the money? Instead of doing it on the infrastructure, where did it go? It goes into the arts and innovation. It goes into spending the baseball park. My gosh, we could have used that money right now and we don't have to be talking about infrastructure.
Mr. McBride.
Repeat the question, please. Repeat the question, please.
As mayor, how will you balance future housing and commercial development with the need to increase critical infrastructure and to maintain often neglected existing infrastructure?
It goes back to a priority list. You got to go back, and there's water and sewer and stormwater and roads and city-owned roads, not the state-owned roads. It's simply a priority list. And council has to sit down and come up with a good priority. As far as the housing, developers need to be paying and they need to be contributing more to the infrastructure costs. It shouldn't be all put on the city. And for too long, we've just given everything in the world to the developers. And as I go throughout the city, everybody wants to talk about density, density, density. Well, the worst thing, the biggest conflict is we have 5,000 realtors that are part of the Coastal Carolina Association of Realtors. And what do they want? They want highest and best use. Well, that's density. So there's a conflict, and that's one of the special interests that the city continues to bend over to and bow over to are the developers, the real estate agents, and we're not putting the residents first.
Mr. Kruea.
We've spent so much time, money, and effort on the downtown area, on those 10 blocks downtown, that we've lost our focus and our sight of the rest of the community. We need to put the residents first. We need to work with businesses instead of against businesses. You heard during the council candidates discussion that everybody agrees the traffic pattern on Ocean Boulevard needs to change. The businesses have said that for 3 years now. So we need to create a business climate that will allow for us to do the things that we're talking about here, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's the housing needs that exist. Again, we've ignored the residents in the neighborhoods, we've ignored the business community, we've done nothing for the visitor experience post-COVID because we've focused so much downtown on those 10 blocks in the artificial investment district. The long-term debt there is a third of the city's total long-term debt. So, council needs to be involved in the budget process much earlier than they are at this point. We need to look at what the residents need, what the businesses need, and actually provide those needs with the monies that the city has. The city has the funds to do many of these things. We've concentrated on one area to the exclusion of the rest of the city at this point. We do need to go to Columbia and revisit the TDF. That 80-20% distribution is not good for the city of Myrtle Beach. This city council has used all of the 20% for your property tax credit and had to add an extra $1.2 million just to make up the credit. That's not fiscally responsible and it's not sustainable.
All right, next question is going to start with Mr. Allman. What is your view on the establishment of the Arts and Innovation District in the city, and how do you see the project moving forward to completion?
Really? All right. So I live in the area that is being developed for the Arts and Innovation District, and it is being done. And that's all I can say. I'm not going to future project somebody else's project or dream or idea that they had, because I wasn't there for the vision. But I can say that I'm living really close to that area, like super close, that things are being done. The swash has been greened up. They've taken the wither swash, has had an entire greening program added to it, so they've cleaned up the entire swash. They've started to clear out some buildings. It takes time, so I'm not going to make a judgment call on whether it works, that it's going to work or it's not. I have been to other places where arts and innovation districts work. It breeds creativity. It gives kids something to do. It gives them something to educate themselves with, something to do with their hands. And going back to the crime thing, it keeps them from getting bored and destructive, right? So I support the development of the Arts and Innovation District if it's going to be the vision that someone else had said it was going to be. And, what else do you want me to say about it? Is there?
All right, time's up, Mr. Allen.
We good?
We're good.
All right.
Mr. Rigney.
Okay. So, I was in a city council meeting, the last one that occurred, and there was a proposal to add $28 million into spending the baseball park. If that is an indication of how the budget is going to be, where it keeps increasing, and this arts and innovation is supposed to be target completion date 2026, I don't think it will be without spending more money into it. So you need to change the leadership. You need to put me in there, because I'm going to start auditing the financial of these people that has contract. And that's just how it's going to be, because we are not to go into debt again.
Thank you, Ms. Rigney. Mr. McBride.
That's the mayor's number, 1001. And if you have any issues, you can call Ms. Bethune right now. But the city's not supposed to be in the real estate business. The city's not supposed to be in the property management business. And in January of 27, the $35 million worth of properties the city has bought with no plan, all that's going to be back on the market. The city is going to get out of the stuff they're not supposed to be doing, and they're going to go back and make public safety, getting your water, your trash picked up, the streets clean, the parks looking nice, the ocean front. It's just gone crazy. And on top of all that, all the dirty, underhanded, corrupt deals that have all been part of it is ridiculous. And in fairness, Mr. Kruea's, I agree with him on the Arts and Innovation District, but he's been there for 7 of the 8 years she's been mayor.
Ms. Bethune, he held up a sign directed totally toward you. Your response to that?
I'm not corrupt. I'm a very honest person. I'm doing this job because I want to do this job. I'm passionate about my city, not because I need this job. My vision over 8 years ago when I ran for mayor was to take our downtown, which millions and millions of our visitors drive by multiple times a day, where it was crime-ridden, dark, blighted. That's not a city. That's not a vibrant city. We deserve better. We deserve a downtown that is vibrant. And that is for all of us. That's for all of you. That is for our future generations. I'll give you my personal cell phone number, Mr. McBride, not my office number, and you can call or text me anytime, because I believe in this vision. Good activity drives out bad activity. Good investment attracts other investment. And every city that we study who went through a revitalization including Charleston, Greenville, South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, and many others, the city had to be the very first to invest in order to attract other investors.
Thank you, Ms. Bethune. Mr. McBride, have you tried getting in touch with Ms. Bethune on this subject?
I wouldn't talk to him if he did.
Well, that's okay. I went on the radio she's my mayor, and I went on the radio to ask her some questions. She wouldn't talk to me on the radio the other day either because she doesn't want to talk to your issues.
Many of the problems that started in this city became problems when he was mayor. Crime was at our highest. Our crime was the highest it had ever been when Mr. McBride was mayor. He did nothing about it, including voting against the budget for public safety 4 times. And now he's talking about 100 police officers, and you're going to vote against the budget to hire more police officers? You did that, sir, not I.
Did you do that, Mr. McBride?
She's absolutely right. We didn't need tax increases those years, and when you pass against a $150 million budget because you don't agree with the budget, the police is just a line item within the budget. So I'm not going to be held hostage over one line item and pass a budget that I don't agree with when the people should have been getting tax decreases. For the last 4 years, there's been 50 officers budgeted. They've never been filled. That's $4 to $5 million. You have not seen a tax decrease. Where is that $4 or $5 million for the last 4 years?
Let's go back now to the original subject, the Arts and Innovation District, and Mark Kruea.
Do you see why we need a change of leadership? You can't go backwards. I don't hear anybody, maybe I hear one voice saying 4 more years. But let's talk about downtown for a minute. Myrtle Beach is not a normal town. We've always been a tourism destination. The 10 blocks downtown, if we spend $600 million in the 10 blocks downtown, that won't make Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach is much more than those 10 blocks downtown. We've spent $32 million on 2 blocks just east of Kings Highway, immediately south of the pavilion site that has sat there looking ugly for the last 5 years. We've not done anything there. We've lost our common sense. We've lost our vision for a whole city. And that's one of the reasons why our tourism is down this year. Our reputation precedes us, and it's not in a good place right now. So the question was, what do we do with downtown? We've made those commitments at this point. My parents acted in community theaters, so I understand the need for a theater. I've been supportive of a theater since we bought the Rivoli back in 1999 for $750,000. But the problem is, we're spending a lot more money for a 300-seat theater at this point. So we're out of proportion. We need to focus on the whole city, not just those 10 blocks. And we need to restore our reputation. And that's why it's time for a change in leadership this year.
Thank you, Ms. Kruea. Next question, we're going to start with Ms. Rigby. Rigby, I'm sorry. As required by City Ordinance 98-1027-52, the planned unit development for the Grand Dunes Resort was to have been completed in 2018, but it's still underway. The ordinance also requires the developer to provide the city with 2-year projections of construction activities, which reportedly are not being provided. If elected, what steps will you take to determine when the development is slated for completion and how to ensure the 2-year projections of construction activities are provided?
Well, that is really a huge problem, right? Because see what's going on. We have different zoning and planning departments. Each city has its own. Surfside Beach has its own. Little River, and all those. And then you have the encompassing Horry County planning and zoning. And each one of these departments are in conflict with each other. So a wise builder would play them off against each other. So until they are ready and they can make the money, then they'll pull the plug and get it completed. But until then, they are negotiating behind closed doors. And we've got to do something by having a cohesive zoning and planning. Excuse me? I'm sorry. You got me started. Yes. Yeah, we've got to have a cohesive plan. We've got to work with Horry County. We've got to work with North Myrtle Beach, and just have a very linear, the same kind of policy so that builders will not get confused and play us off against one another.
All right, thank you, Ms. Reagan. Mr. McBride.
As a council member, I cut the ribbon. I was a council member that cut the ribbon for Broadway at the beach. And probably my signature accomplishment during my 4 years, during the 8 years, was the Grand Dunes PUD. You know, that the whole PUD that brought in 2,500 acres. That was the first time the city went west of the waterway. That allowed for the Grand Dunes. It allowed for the Marriott. It allowed for the Mall of South Carolina. And back then, the Mall of South Carolina was a big deal. I know malls as an industry, that's gone a different direction. It created the Ainer Industrial Park. And then my last vote on council, a lot of y'all live in Market Common. My last day on council, I cut $16 million because of fiscal responsibility. Once again, council just throws money to developers, and I said they're going to build Market Common no matter what we give them. And that day on council, we went from 54 million to $38 million. We cut all those millions of dollars, my last council vote. Going back to the Grand Dunes PUD, there's issues. They have to be worked on. I'm not up to date, I'll admit, on everything and where it's at in the timelines. But the one thing, the other day when the sewer line broke on 76th Avenue, as I was talking to the neighborhood, there was a former councilman, Mr. Martino, came out there, and one of the things we did to protect Northwoods and Sienna Park was we went into the Grand Dunes PUD at the time, went in 185 acres and put R7 to protect the neighborhood from the encroachment of the PUD. And do you know what happened? Somewhere under either the Rhodes administration or the Bethune's administration, the minutes disappeared, the tape of the meeting, the audio, and that whole amendment went, and that's why there was clear cutting, and that's why the developer ended up pulling out stumps and breaking that line the other day because of something corrupt in the planning department.
Thank you, Mr. McBride. Let's go to Mr. Kruea.
The Grand Dunes PUD has not been presenting the annual reports the biannual reports as they need to on a regular basis. That's the manager's responsibility. The manager literally is the CEO of a $360 million corporation. City Council is the board of directors. The mayor is the chairman of the board. Mr. McBride takes credit for a lot of things that would have taken 4 votes to do it. He did not do those things single-handedly. He leaves out the things that he did support that probably weren't good ideas, such as the relocation of the airport to the other side of the runway. When the Community Appearance Board canceled that, we saved Horry County $100 million that Mr. McBride was willing to have the county spend. So, the Grand Dunes PUD, 76th Avenue North, the residents of that neighborhood, those neighborhoods have had to sue the city. And he's got a point about this. The planning and zoning departments need to be separated. They were separate about 10 years ago. They were combined under one. The people who write the rules should not be the people who enforce the rules, and vice versa. A zoning administrator's decision changed the zoning, which allowed that clear cutting to occur on 76th Avenue North, allowed the density to increase beyond what was originally in the PUD, unfortunately. And there is no written record of that. The written record became when the BZA upheld the zoning administrator's decision, and that's what the neighborhoods now have to challenge, is that BZA record at this point. So, yes, we can do a lot better job managing our PUDs here in the city of Myrtle Beach.
Mr. McBride, he talked about what you did with the airport vote.
Yes, sir.
What is your response?
He spoke that was county funding, and we are county residents, but the airport operation is an enterprise fund. If we built the runways on the other side, we'd have had a bigger airport. We have a 9,000-foot runway. The space shuttle can land here. And as a council member, as mayor, I went to Leeds and talked to the Leeds airport to have international flights. To this day, we don't have international flights. I still believe if the airport had been built, it would have been self-sufficient, it would have produced its own revenues, and we would have had a bigger and better airport than we have today.
Mark, Kruea.
The airport is currently expanding the number of gates. Where the other terminal would have been is where the industrial park here is on Faro Parkway. So that would have been your airport terminal here on Faro Parkway. The second runway issue predates that actually, and had the city allowed the county to build the second runway, the Market Common probably would not be here today. So the city has upheld its end of the bargain when it comes to making sure that our residents are protected here at the Market Common and throughout the city.
Ms. Bethune, back to the Grand Dunes. Your response.
I was not on council when the PUD was approved. I am somewhat familiar with the PUD, enough so to say that it is probably the very poorly written. Never should have been approved. Grand Dunes has done a lot. They have some beautiful developments, but we can do better, and City Council has talked about doing a better job on future PUDs and regulating them more strictly, especially when it comes to our trees. Clear cutting should not be allowed. I am 100% against clear cutting. It's ruining our city, it's ruining our aesthetics, it's ruining your neighborhoods, but we didn't write the PUD. A PUD is a legally binding document between the property owner and the city. And we cannot, City Council cannot amend or change that PUD without the property owner's approval. Not even a minor change. Even a minor amendment has to be approved and agreed upon by the property owner. So I believe we need to do a better job with all future PUDs.
Thank you, Ms. Bethune. Mr. Allman, your response.
All right, first question is, can you ask me the question again? Second question is, what is a PUD?
It's a planned unit development.
All right.
But as required by city ordinance, the PUD for the Grand Dunes Resort was to have been completed in 2018, but it's still underway. I think that's the gist of it.
It's really not a fair question for someone who's not been on council before.
Are you okay with that, Mr. Allman? Okay.
So I'm just going to take this back to something that I'm experiencing, and that's contracting. And so what I heard in this is that somebody's taking too long to complete their whatever they're building, right? So if I hire somebody, or well, let me put it in my shoes. If I go to bid somebody's deck and I build their deck and I start taking too long, they're going to be patient with me for a little while. And then if I'm milking the time clock on them, right, they're going to start to notice that. And then if I really try to milk the time clock on them, they're going to be like, wait a minute. And then at that point in time, that's when patience really takes a sharp drop downhill. So if somebody's milking a contract on me, the first thing I do is get with my constituents, and we're going to go down there and we're going to renegotiate the contract under the premise that they have already breached their contract, right? And then we're going to get another plan going, and that's compassion. Because it doesn't have, we can cut them off right then and there. Breach a contract, bye. Let somebody else come down here that wants to do it, because Myrtle Beach is globally famous, right? So my plan would be to, again, go down there and say, hey, you guys have stretched the contract out too far. You're now in breach of contract. And at this point in time, we need to sit down and get this thing cleared up, cut all the fluff off of it, and get the job done so people can come in here and enjoy themselves. And it could generate some income. That's it.
Yeah.
Good to go.
Thank you, Mr. Allman. One more question before closing arguments, and we will have this go to Mr. McBride. For several years, the city has had a problem with attracting and keeping qualified police officers. This deficit has a direct impact on the crime rate and the quality of life throughout the city. What is your plan to recruit qualified candidates to fill the many vacancies in the Myrtle Beach PD?
Pay them. We have all the money in the world, but as y'all are, as Market Common residents, back on May 29th, when the shooting took place, And the man came up out of the roof of the car with the AR and started spraying the officers behind him. Yeah, that's great, all that fancy stuff. The license plate reader worked. They found the bad guy on the end of the boulevard down toward Naaman's and the street end. But the stupid policy of the city says, if you have them contained, you have to leave an opening so they can run. So they ran. So they came down here and sprayed the neighborhood. Then they went up Kings Highway and went through every major intersection, the lights, the city controls. At 52nd Avenue, they could have bought a fire truck out. Throughout the city limits, county police officers are passing the Myrtle Beach officers, and it took the county backing up on 67th Avenue to crash the guy. And when he came up out of the car at 67th Avenue, he pulled the gun out to fire on the county officers, and his gun jammed. And 3 of the 4 were under and in handcuffs before the Myrtle Beach officers got there. It's not the officers' fault, it's the poor policies. And who in here would want to be a Myrtle Beach police officer? And I commend the ones that are here. Who would be a Myrtle Beach police officer and know if you get fired on with an AR-15, your brothers in blue are not allowed to back you up and protect you? No one's going to come and work in an environment like that. All the DEI incentives, no one will want to come here and work. We have to get rid of the management. We have to change policies that are hurting the officers. And I want to see him go back and frisk. Just like Mayor Giuliani did, go down on the boulevard and let the police officers be police officers again. It's a simple problem.
Thank you, Mr. McBride. Mr. Kruea.
The question, Bob, was what do we do to fill those 50 police vacancies and support the police department?
Your plan to recruit.
Decent summary. I think there are 4 issues involved in why we have not successfully filled those 50 police vacancies that have been in the budget for 5 years at this point. In fact, City Council raised taxes a couple of times to add police positions. I think one is the sheer workload. Our police officers work very hard. They're overwhelmed at this point. They work harder than police officers do in other places. Certainly compensation is a thing. Compensation, we've raised the compensation starting salary for an uncertified police officer is about $60,000. You go to the Criminal Justice Academy, it's about $64,000 coming out. But when we raise our salaries, the rest of the state raises their salaries too. So it's a leapfrog thing. We've got to keep on top of that. On the recruiting side, we've apparently handed that over to the Chamber of Commerce, and I predicted 3 or 4 years ago that we would still be talking about this in 2 or 3 years, and we're a couple of years beyond that at this point. The Chamber of Commerce spends about $100,000 a year recruiting police officers for us. That's not enough and not effective at this point. So whatever we're doing obviously isn't working because we've been doing it for 5 years unsuccessfully. Let's try something different from a recruiting standpoint. And if that doesn't work in a couple of years, in a couple of months, we need to try something different again to make sure that we can fill those positions. Granted, it's tough to be a police officer today. It's tough to recruit police officers today, but we've got Myrtle Beach here. It's a great place to live and work. And then finally, I think there has to be a management component of that as well. We need to put the residents first, listen to our businesses, work with them, and provide a great visitor experience. If we fill those 50 police positions, everybody will get a little bit of a breather, and we'll do that on Ocean Boulevard.
Thank you, Mr. Kruea. Ms. Bethune.
I actually agree with Mark on some of that.
Which Mark?
Well, I think that was clear. We do need to do a better job recruiting. We've raised police pay by 55%. We are not the only city that is short-staffed in our police department. Our retention rate is actually 88%, which is pretty incredible, but we have to do a better job recruiting. We have a great city. Myrtle Beach is a great brand, but we have to keep reinvesting in the brand to make it the best it can be. And that's no different with our police department. We need to go to cities that are doing recruiting and retention well. We need to find out what they're doing, how they're doing it. We need to bring those ideas back here. And like Mark said, if something doesn't work, we don't need to take years to try something new. We need to be ready to pivot and try things and look for new ways to do things. But this is a great place to work. We have great benefits. Our officers do work very, very hard. We're not just a city of 40 to 45,000 people. Our average daily population is over 160,000 because of our visitors. And that adds a lot of workload on our police.
Thank you, Ms. Bethune.
Can I
Mr.
count on your
Allman.
vote?
Mr. Allman.
Can you ask that question again?
For several years, the city of Myrtle Beach has had a problem attracting and keeping qualified police officers. This deficit has had a direct impact on the crime rate and also quality of life throughout the city. What is your plan to recruit qualified candidates to fill the many vacancies in the Myrtle Beach PD?
I think the first thing is to make it more attractive. You have to be a special individual to want to be a police officer or in any kind of public safety. You have to want it. So I'm not trying to be harsh, but I would not reach my hand out with money first to attract somebody that was an officer. I'd find out the nature of individuals that care about protecting their community and have public safety in mind. As a parent, we all possess that innate instinct with our own kid. So all you have to do is transfer that to include more people. When I was a security officer, in order to gain the balance of how to police and stuff around Myrtle Beach, especially in the higher season, I came out gung-ho. I was like, all like just new. And they said, look, as long as they're not trying to kill each other or burn the place down, leave them alone, right? Good to go. And that's what we focus on. We turned our sensitivity down from nitpicking all these small things, and we were able to conserve our energy to keep an eye out for the larger things that happen. That made our response time faster. And that's just the technicals of it. But in order to recruit, you have to have officers that have rank that can notice people that care enough about the community in the right way, and then you offer them the reward, right? But it starts here, and especially if you're protecting people. So recruiting is a very complex issue. I have a deep pool of people that would love and work very hard, that I was out in the woods with in camouflage the other day, to help protect the people. And I can tell you that I get a check once a month. It's a 3-digit check, and 1 is the first number, right? Every month. And I show up, and I love it. I don't care. I do it because of what it says on paper. I do it because of the intent. And that's the first thing that you look for in an officer. Then you tell him what he's getting for it. And that's sort of how I would go about putting police officers in Myrtle Beach.
All right, thank you, Mr. Allman. Ms. Wrigley.
Yes. Okay, so I don't think money is the problem, right? I mean, they all say that money is no problem, right? However, I don't understand that we've had this problem for 5 years, shortage of policemen. And why is it that the chamber is the one doing the recruiting? The hierarchy of our organizational chart starts with what? The mayor, and then down below her is the city manager, below that is the assistant manager, and then I think the police chief is below that. I think that's the hierarchy. So the first thing we need to do is fire the police chief. And we have the money. So now, how do you recruit? We have the money, get rid of the chamber from the recruiting business. Obviously, they are failing. So we need to advertise. First of all, there's a lot of professional recruiting agency that would just love to have that budget. Trust me, if you give it to them, because they work by commission, they'll get it filled. Second, there's, for the modern days, we have Pinterest and Instagram. My son has recruited so many cyber security experts through that, and very, very cheaply. So those are the ways that we can do it.
Thank you, Ms. Wrigley. Closing statements now are on the way. 2 minutes each candidate. We will start with Mark Kruea.
The air conditioner works really well in here, doesn't it? Thank you for putting up with us tonight. I think you've heard a level of dissatisfaction expressed by the city council candidates, by the mayoral candidates. I think we've lost some of the common sense. We've certainly lost focus on all that is Myrtle Beach at this point. We've spent so much time, money, and effort on those 10 blocks downtown that we really don't have that whole city vision anymore. Someone borrowed a line from me earlier tonight. We've lost that sense of community, and we need to get that sense of community back. I did not anticipate when I retired last year after 26 years from the city of Myrtle Beach being in this race this year. This was not on my radar. I'm not trying to pad my obituary by any stretch of the imagination. This is something that I feel needs to be done. I genuinely believe that our reputation is at stake if we don't get a handle on the major issues that you've heard discussed here all night and that you've certainly talked about amongst yourselves. I've been out talking to the neighborhoods. The one thing that resonates is that the neighborhoods have been ignored. You go listen to the business community. The business community is not being listened to. We could be a lot friendlier with the business community, which helps provide all the many things that we enjoy here in Myrtle Beach. So, I think you've got a very clear choice at the ballot this time. I hope when you go to the polls, you'll think about the discussions that we've had here. Take a look at Myrtle Beach, realize that tourism was down this summer significantly. The businesses on the Boulevard report, the business was off anywhere from 15 if you're a big hotel to 40% or more if you're one of the smaller businesses down there. That's not a successful way to build Myrtle Beach as a brand, as an image. So anyway, again, I think you've got a very clear choice. We're not going to roll the clock back, and I don't think you're hearing 4 more years, please. So I would ask that you consider voting for me for mayor on November 4th or early voting at Chapin Memorial Library. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kruea. Mr. Kruea.
I'm unapologetic about my service these last 8 years. When I ran for mayor, it was to make Myrtle Beach stronger, safer, and more vibrant, and we're doing that. It does not mean that we don't have much more work to do. I 100% admit that. But I have the passion, I have the vision, and I have the integrity to get that job done. Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard from all of us tonight. You have a former mayor sitting here that I've already told you when he was mayor, crime was at its highest. He voted against the police pay when it could have been broken out of the budget and voted on separately. And then we have a former public information officer who spent 7 years while I was in office telling you all good things about the city. He wasn't paid to lie. He was paid to tell you the truth. I like Mark. I work with him. We got along well. But he did a job to tell you the truth about what was happening in the city. We are not burning to the ground. Our crime is not off the charts. We have the proof that our Part 1, violent crime, is down nearly 50%. Were our businesses down this year? Yes, but not just on Ocean Boulevard. Every business was down this year. And not just in the city of Myrtle Beach. When we compared what we were down to other beach communities, we were actually doing pretty well. We have a long way to go. I'm telling you that I do this job because I love this city. It's where I've built my business. It's where we've raised our family. It's where I grew up. I'm doing this for the right reasons. I'm doing it for you. And I want you to call me if you want to talk about anything before you go to the polls. 843-458-2882. The cards are on the table. But please, make your decisions wisely because we need to keep Myrtle Beach moving forward in the right direction, and we are moving in the right direction.
Thank you, Mr. Kruea. Mr. Allman.
I didn't get to share with you guys everything that I wrote down. I was up till 6 o'clock in the morning writing this. I think this is a key to a lot of concerns in the city. It's dynamic. It works in, you have to do one to do the other. But once you get everything lined up, the city really starts to shine. So let me read this statement. I'm not a career politician, I'm a builder. I solve problems by designing systems that work, not by making excuses. Myrtle Beach needs leadership that's focused, transparent, and unafraid to challenge the status quo. I have a track record of getting things done, not just talking about it. And that was just something that I wrote last night without knowing any of this stuff that's going on. But I don't know if carrying can have a sound, but if it did, and I was elected mayor, I would make sure that what you all are asking for as a whole was done to the best of my ability. And so, you know, I love you guys.
Ms. Rigney.
Thanks for running.
Thank you very much for listening, and I believe that you have an open heart, an open mind. So I'm going to ask you one more time to listen carefully to what I'm about to say. I want you to imagine during the time Brenda Bethune was the mayor and Mark Kruea was her public information officer. Together, in my opinion, they partnered in what I call lying by omission. Kruea's postcard says where the bones are buried. I think you've got a lot of these in your mailbox if you haven't opened your mailbox. Where the bones are buried. Think about that. To me, that's a confession. It's a confession outright that he knew the whole time for the past 26 years that they were just rubber stamping. He even got quoted in the newspaper about that all the leadership do is rubber stamp. They don't think, they just follow and rubber stamp. So where the bones are, to me, like I said, it's a confession. And are you aware of the South Carolina law that says the hand of one is the hand of all? The hand of one is the hand of all. It means that if one person participates in wrongdoing, others involved share in the responsibility. And that's exactly what happened. Their silence contributed to serious consequences, including the huge city debt, which nearly doubled. In 2018, it was 167 million only. But in 2025, it's an unaudited report, it's $336 million. Leadership is not about covering up problems, it's about solving them. And I'm the kind that solves, I act. The choice for voters is clear: secrecy or accountability, excuses or integrity, narrow experience or proven leadership. And let me quickly explain that.
Very quickly.
I've held a lot of positions in my life. I've traveled all across the world. I've held jobs overseas. So I can apply all those knowledge that I have learned throughout the years into our problems here in Myrtle Beach. So please vote for me. I ask that humbly of you all.
Thank you, Ms. Rigney. 2 minutes, Mr. McBride.
Mr. Jubek, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank y'all for being here once again, and once again, thank you to the associations that made this possible. It's kind of disappointing to know that we've already entered into the campaign, or into the voting process. People are already voting. And do you realize none of the 3 TV stations felt that this race is important enough to have a televised mayoral debate? Nobody is. Since I announced 5 weeks ago as a former 2-term mayor and a mayor running for re-election, the Post and Courier has never interviewed me about this race. The Sun News has never interviewed me about this race. It's a blackout to the press. They don't want you to know what's going on. It's obvious from the Sun News. If you take one of the incumbents steps down and they're bringing back the incumbent that had a 20-year run. And then Mr. Kruea got chosen over Ms. Bethune because it's either or, they are the same candidate. And all that aside, none of it means anything if y'all won't hear this one point. as I started off tonight saying all the money from the chamber that's beat me over and over and over because of the funding, if the city does not stand up and come together and go to the Chamber of Commerce and ask for some of that money to be given back to the city, nothing will change. It won't be safe, and we'll have the same problems, and you'll have the same excuses. There won't be enough police officers. So it's real simple. After the election, we sit down with the Chamber of Commerce. In 2017, and Ms. Bethune sat in the audience, and Mr. Kruea was running around. If you watch that video clip, the Chamber said, all you have to do is ask. Well, Mayor McBride will ask the Chamber to split that money and give us 15 or 20 million for the police. With that kind of money, $100,000 an officer, 100 officers, that's 100,000 at 100, that's only 10 million, and we still have 5 million. Money isn't everything, but you don't get Davo Sweeney or anybody else unless you pay the best, and we can have the best qualified officers, and they can be on the street by the 1st of January in 27. I want to make Myrtle Beach safe, clean, and open. Please vote for me.
Thank you, Mr. McBride. And thanks for everyone coming out to this forum tonight. Heard a lot of pretty good comments from all the different candidates, both on the mayoral side and the city council candidates. Thank you very much, and you can certainly show your part in this race by going to vote through the 31st at Chapin.